Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Proving Grounds. Today, we're going to talk about an indie game. It seems to be all I've been doing lately with all the overtime I've been doing. But what can we help? But those are my personal problems. Moving on, you're here to listen to the subject matter. Today, we're going to be talking about Lone Survival, the Director's Cut. Now, a quick note. The original game, as far as I can tell, is bundled with most digital versions on the PC. As far as I could tell, the original never came to any of the consoles, as far as I can really tell. But the Director's Cut was a free update for all versions, as far as I'm aware of. So even if you have the original version, it should update to the Director's Cut. And if for some reason you want to play the original version, because to my understanding the Director's Cut did add a few new songs and things, but overall, let's see if I can find out. No, it doesn't say exactly how many new things. I remember there were like a few new songs, and there are some new endings, Easter eggs, 2 new side quests, and some new dialogue going to the GOG description for the Director's Cut. Now I know about the 2 endings that, but anyway, Lone Survival. The simplest way I would put it is, imagine if Silent Hill 2 was a side-scrolling pixelated mess. Essentially, that's really what this game feels like, with a lot more emphasis on stealth. But you can, similar to more modern Metal Gear Solid games, you can go extremely violent or extremely stealthy. It gives you that freedom. However, that freedom's cost is the ending you get for your actions. Very similar. I really feel like the creator of this game took a lot of inspiration from Silent Hill 2, really. I mean, there were items in Silent Hill 2 you could examine that affected James's mental state and could actually affect the ending to small extents. Essentially, re-examining the item so many times could actually change the ending in Silent Hill 2 to an extent. And there was a lot of stuff like that. Almost everything you do seems to have some kind of mental effect on the character, and that drastically affects your ending a lot. But there's also medication you take that also greatly influences that, and I'll explain that in greater detail when we get into more spoiler territory. But you're provided food, the ability to cook food, to make better healing items, guns. There is no melee in this game, unlike most Silent Hill games, which at least provide some kind of melee option, if not multiple. Lone Survival does not provide any type of melee, so your handgun is all you have in normal attacking. So once you're out of bullets, if you're going in a bloody route, you need to go restock. Which, like I said, the game does give you a lot of freedom on how to do that. And I kind of feel like it's not as interestingly controlled like Shovel Knight, but essentially the game gives you the options of controlling the difficulty of the game, essentially. There is a difficulty selection with the game too, but all that does is when you go up to an item, you'll see a prompt about the item. The harder difficulty just actually takes it out of the way, so stuff that's hidden in the dark and that, or behind objects, you have to literally actually know they're there, or just spam your button like you're playing Resident Evil or something in the older days. But you have cooking, you have a handgun, you get ammo, you get pills, you get a few different resources and some items that can help or worsen your character's mental state. There are not a lot of monster variety in the game. there was basically 2 bosses, and depending on if you count transformation, there's like 3 monsters. But then again, there's also the new ending too, which technically adds another one too. But there isn't a lot, and this is a pretty short game. But for indie game, it is normally, without any sales, $14.99. Now, I am talking about the PS4 version, as you may have guessed, the Limited 1 physical version that Limited 1 Games did. If you want a copy of it physically, it looks like it's running for about $70 online around now. Well, there's some used ones going for about $40, so it looks like it's not being as badly scalped used-wise, but if you want sealed, you're going to have to pay out a little bit more. But that's the current pricing. I'm sure that will change vastly. Would I really recommend getting the physical version? Not so much. This game is available DRM free on GOG, Humble Bundle, and that, if that is a thing you're concerned about being Steam only or any kind of DRM, that's not an issue. So I wouldn't really worry too much unless you really want a fucking physical version of the game. But the game's about a 2-hour experience. It has a lot of darkness. It recommends, like a lot of horror games, to play with a headset and proper darkness settings and that. Like Silent Hill games, there's a lot of darkness, but unlike most Silent Hill games, I think, I can't remember, did the PSP one have batteries for the flashlight? Almost none of the Silent Hill games have any battery charge on the flashlight, so I think maybe a few of the spin-offs may. I can't remember off the top of my head. I might be thinking of something else, though. But I know most of the main entries have never had a battery life for your flashlights. Actually, I'm probably thinking of that high school one, actually. Yeah, I think that had batteries, I think. But anyway, you do have battery life on your only light source in the game. So, and there is no easy way of getting batteries, unlike there is with health and ammo, which is how I find that you can control the difficulty, because it's your compulsive nature, whether you want to use only the stuff you find in the world, you want to be limited that way, or do you want to just take the easy way out and pop some pills that will provide materials for you. The game literally pretty much makes it well. If you ever played Silent Hill 1, as far as I know, no one's ever proved whether this was a trick the devs left in the game for testing and accidentally forgot to take it out of the retail version, or a glitch or something. But at the end of Silent Hill 1, if you have no ammo, there's actually a way to actually complete the game still. And I'm not going to go into too many details on that because I don't want to spoil it for anyone now. But this game essentially makes it where it's impossible to get in a situation with that. You always have a way to combat it. So unless you're limiting yourself, controlling the difficulty essentially on yourself, the game can be super easy or can be super hard depending on your limitations. And that's why, but it doesn't feel as rewarding in that sense of like Dark Souls or Shovel Knight in controlling the difficulties. It only gives you the options, I'm not lying now, but it's I don't know, it just doesn't feel natural. And I really do feel the game could have used a little bit stealth options, because there's only 2 ways really to deal with monsters. The violent way with the gun. Well, actually, yeah, I guess technically 3. You have the gun, killing them, sneaking past them, which in a lot of situations isn't an option. Early on, there are times where you can slip by monsters, but in the later portion of the game, there are literally paths that monsters block, and there are only a few you can skip out. But there's a bunch you have to either distract or get rid of. And by distracting, you use flares. Flares do not harm the monsters, but they will be momentarily stunned by them while the flare is on, so you can run past them. So, if you have no flares and you have no ammo and you're in a situation where there's no way to get around the monster, you're pretty much stuck. And like I said, the game gives you the way to get more resources, but it makes it feel unrewarding. It doesn't feel like, you know how people say like something like Dark Souls or Shovel Knight or other games that are really well designed, cave story, things like it's always your fault. You either weren't paying attention, you didn't think about it, you didn't come up with a proper plan, but you can now, after experiencing structural new countermeasure to whatever killed you and such, you don't feel like that's an option in Lone Survival, and I think that's probably my biggest criticism in it. My first ending was the second to worst ending. I did a blind playthrough, and I'm in the middle of doing a much more positive playthrough. I want to try and get one of the good endings. I don't know if I'm going to 100% the entire game. The absolute best new ending requires a lot of crazy management, to be honest. But then again, I 100% did Rising 1, so maybe I'm just insanely lazy these days. But the story in the game is, I feel like it's really trying to be kind of like Dark Souls in the sense of dropping very vague hints, but not telling a lot. Unlike, Silent Hill has a lot of that kind of stuff too, but it tells you a lot of stuff also. This is not as vague as like Dark Souls is. And Lone Survival is just very vague. And the fact that there aren't very many descriptions of interest on a lot of things, and there are like, 5 notes in the entire game. There's not a lot of reading material, which leaves a lot of the game vague. There are a few interesting theories, but I don't feel like there's enough to grasp onto, even when you take the director's cut's new ending into consideration to get a full picture. I mean, you get the general idea what's happening with the character from it, but a more understanding what's going on overall outside of him still kind of seems iffy in the player base's opinions. Overall, though, I think the music was pretty decent. The graphics, like I said, are pixelated, so that some people find that as a lazy way, and other people sometimes find that good. Some of the characters during some of the dream sequences you have, when you take a pill, here's how the pills work. You have different pills. One will help you not be sleepy. That one doesn't affect your items. But you have blue and green pills. Blue pills will provide you ammo, and green pills will provide you with health and flares, depending on how many you actually have on you. That apparently affects how many it gives you. Like, if you have no ammo, you get a bunch of ammo. If you have a low ammo, you'll get a little bit more ammo, to my understanding. Like I said, they do affect your ending on how you use them, so it's best be wary. I do recommend playing the first time completely blind. I always feel like these kind of games, especially when they're short, stuff like Undertale and that, all games you want to at least probably replay one more time with knowledge from your blind playthrough, and maybe even look up some stuff for that. But I do recommend playing blind. It's always fun with a shorter indie game, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. But going into spoiler territory, before we go into that, do I really recommend the game? $15 ain't too mad. It seems to be averagely about 2 hours playthrough for your more blinder playthroughs, and if you're good at remembering everything, you can do a faster speed one of the whole thing. But unless you really hardcore for a physical version, I wouldn't pay the high prices scalpers are trying to get for it. But I am thankful it hasn't gone like some of these shit. Like I bet if I looked up the Shantae games, those probably went fucking like through the roof, just because the Game Boy Color cartridge is worth so much. But $15 I don't think's too bad. I've seen this game on sale and in Humble Bundles multiple times, so you could also wait for a discount. But I enjoyed it for what it is. It's if you're looking for something a little Silent Hill-ish in a 2D plane, pixelated kind of mess kind of system, that it's not Silent Hill, but it has a lot of nostalgic feelings towards 2, in my opinion. It really, I mean, even the map looks way like Silent Hill, where it updates as you interact with objects and that. I really feel like the Creator took a lot of inspiration from Silent Hill 2. But check that out if you see it for a good price. But going on the spoiler territory, so you go through the game, you go through the monsters, you meet 3 different, well, if you count the dreams, it's more like 5 people. You do meet some people throughout the game, but you'll progress through it, and you basically get pointed to going to the hospital, where you'll get pointed into going into a room. In the original game, you had 3 endings: the blue, red, and green. The red ending is considered the worst version of the blue ending, where it vaguely hints at who the killer, because there's a killer in both the green dreams and blue dreams when you take a pill. The killer in the blue dream is kind of referenced to who he is through the red ending. The blue ending's a more simple version of it. The green ending is more of a positive kind of thing. Like I said, they're very vague about what's going on. But in the director's cut, you get 2 new endings. You get a joke ending, which, again, makes me think of Silent Hill 2. While it's not the same context, where Silent Hill 2 had a dog controlling everything, the yellow ending gives you just a strange trip of just giving up and giving in to the dance. But the white ending gives you access to the basement of the hospital. And again, I have not gotten the white ending, but I have seen it. I did look it up because I wasn't 100% sure whether I was going to really go for the white ending, because you need a really, really high positive mental state for the green and the white ending. Plus, you have to be replaying the game for the white ending, which obviously I meet that criteria. There were all 2 new drinks in the game that technically I should have access to, that making the white ending easier upon drinking them. They're like a chilled soda and something else. I can't remember exactly how you get them, but if I remember correctly, you have to be in a replay mode. So again, the game gives you an option to make it easier from what I understand of getting it. But you go to the basement, and the woman who you see throughout the game, there's monster versions of her down there, and you have to get past her down the hallway, which ends up with a... it ends up with scenes similar to the green ending, from my understanding of that. But overall, the endings are all pretty vague on what's really going on. That my take of the story is that either the world is kind of ended, or the killer possibly fell under a horrible sickness. Like my opinion is, whether the world is destroyed or not beyond him, I believe the main killer is sick, and essentially everything happening is in his head. I don't think anything's in reality. But there are different theories, like even like what country the game is taking place in. Some people have noted some of the building structures, debating that perhaps the killer was actually in a country where war was happening, and well, everything got fucking destroyed. That so. Like I said, it's very vague. A lot of people have came up with some interesting theories, but I don't feel like there's enough. Like, I feel like, you know how I said for like Bloodborne, there's not enough information there, in my opinion, compared to the Dark Souls games. I feel like this is even a lesser extent of that, where there's lesser stuff to use to weave together interesting theories. But I did enjoy the game. Now, as far as I can tell, the guy who made the game has not made any other games, but the company that published it on consoles has published a lot of games. Also, interesting enough, a number of their games have gotten physical releases from Limited One Games also. But, yeah, as far as I can tell, the guy who made the game only made one game, though. Pretty common for a lot of small indie people, but overall, I did enjoy it. I might consider doing a stream once Overtime dies down some of that. I still have to finish Dragon Quest Builders on my end in that regard, though. But I enjoy it, and it was done in 2012, I believe, too. Let me check that. Yeah, I mean, this game has had a pretty back their history, and only in 2016 to get the physical release on the PS4 and the Vita. So I'd say it had a pretty good life for that. But yeah, being an older game, you probably would want to wait for a sale on whatever digital platform you prefer. Again, noting that as far as I can tell on Steam and GOG, you do get the original Lone Survivor game if you're interested in playing that for the slight differences between it and the director's cut. Overall, though, if you're looking for a good survival horror game, I just, unless you're stripped, I mean, it's not a bad game. It's a short game, it has multiple endings, but honestly, if you haven't played like Silent Hill games or most of the retro Resident Evil games, I'd just go with that. But if you're stripped out on all the tank control survival horror games, this is probably going to be a lot better than Resident Evil 6 for you. Oh God, man. I would have rather this been Resident Evil 6. Oh, good lord. But if you see it for a good price, yeah, I recommend it. Physical, though, like I said, depends on whether you want it or not. I mean, it doesn't come with any fancy booklet. Limited One Games has started putting these little, like essentially the cover of what would be a booklet, and it just has, health warning on one side, and the other side has a message from Limited One Games, but there's usually not too much to it. Some of the covers have nicer art, some don't. Doesn't have reverse cover art, so there's nothing too special about the physical version, in my opinion, aside from collector's value that, or just wanting to hold it. But in the end, that's my thoughts. If you have any questions or anything, please leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching, and until next time, may you wander safely back into the proving grounds.
私の作った朝ごはん